And of course, in Connecticut, we're watching it all play out in the murder trial for defendant Raul Valle. Right now, Ryan Heinz, one of the stabbing victims, on the stand. Let's go back in for more of the direct examination.
Ryan, I'm going to show you States 83. That's now been marked as a full exhibit. Again, what is States 83?
Me in the hospital.
Now, these injuries to you, point out, looks like appears you have injuries to your nose, your face area, in your head. Were those injuries caused during the fight at 43 Laurel Glen?
No, those were at Lazy Brook.
So when you got into the initial fight at Lazy Brook with the defendant and his friends, that's when that happened?
Yeah.
States 84. This injury here to the top of your head, which looks like the left side of your head. Mm-hmm. Do you know when that injury occurred?
That's from Lazy Brook as well.
That's also from Lazy Brook, okay. States 85. Can you tell us where States 85 was from?
That's the tube that had to be put in my chest.
Do you know why the tube had to be put in your chest at the hospital?
To reinflate my lung.
States 86. What are we looking at in States 86?
So the gauze is where I was stabbed, and then that is part of the tube that was also coming out of my chest.
Okay. And this, obviously, this is the left side of your chest?
Yes, sir.
And that is where you got your injuries?
Yeah, on my left side.
States 87. Can you tell us what States 87 is?
That would be my stab wound to my upper chest.
And this is the stab wound that caused the collapsed lung?
Yes, it is.
States 88. Can you tell us what we're looking at in States 88?
That is my stab wound to my hip.
You're around here?
Yeah.
Right. And this is the tube?
Yeah, that's the same tube.
Okay. States 89. Is this the same wound but uncovered?
Yes.
And this is what, a few days after?
Yeah.
States 90. What are we looking at here? This is what?
That would be my stab wound to like my lower butt cheek, pretty much.
So like the hip area?
Yeah.
And again, this tube that's running down, where's that coming from?
That's the same tube that was in my chest.
91. Is this the same wound you just mentioned, but uncovered?
Yes, it is.
Showing you States 92. So it appears to be the right side of your body, but are these injuries on the right side of your body?
No, they're on my left side.
So is this picture being taken in a mirror?
Yes.
Okay, so this would be your upper left chest area where the first stab wound was. Mm-hmm. Second stab wound to your lower abdomen area.
Yep.
And then your third stab wound would be on your left side of your hip.
Yes.
And when were these pictures taken, do you know?
A couple weeks after.
Now, after you were at the hospital, well, how long did you stay in the hospital for? Do you remember?
I was there for 2 nights and 3 days.
And do you recall what you were diagnosed with?
A collapsed lung. I believe I had a fracture in my nose, and some head trauma, and I don't remember everything else.
And what was the treatment that, aside from getting to the hospital and initially getting diagnosed, what treatment did you have to go through?
Well, I couldn't get stitches because they didn't want my wounds to get infected, so it was really cleaning them out multiple times a day, keeping fresh gauze on them at all times, and just a lot of rest.
And what has your recovery been like?
Physically, they healed up, but mentally, I've never been the same person.
What was that?
I can't stop thinking about that night. Like, every single day, multiple times a day, I just think about that night and things that I could have done different, things that anybody could have done different, and I just didn't think things like this happen in the world. I don't know. I didn't know there was people like that out there that really wanted to cause harm.
When you were at Laurel Glen that night and those individuals walked on the front lawn and the fight started, did you anticipate the fight being a fist fight?
Yes.
And did you anticipate there ever being any weapons used?
No.
Did you have any weapons at Lazy Brook that night with
No.
you? Did you have any weapons with you at Laurel Glen that night?
No.
Did Ty Wood have any weapons on him?
No.
Did anybody near you, did you recall anybody near you when you were face to face with the defendant having any weapons?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Attorney Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, there you have it. The direct examination has finished with this witness. Jason Piccolo is with us. He's a former special agent and supervisor of the Department of Homeland Security. And Jason, this is a case where you have a lot of young witnesses telling their stories, and each one of them has stumbled a bit on cross, trying to probably do a little too much. But the sheer volume of that the jury's been able to hear in terms of people recounting this horrible event, really one would think would bode well for the prosecution. What's your take overall in this case? It seems clear cut. If this was an adult, it would be a slam dunk. He goes back to a car, comes back with a knife, uses it, ends up killing somebody. But he was 16. What's your overall thoughts on this case?
That is it. And at the time, he was a juvenile. So they aren't going to look at him as an adult-minded type person. He hasn't really grown to that effect yet. But him going back to the car and returning with a weapon, a deadly weapon, is going to be key to this. And I think you had a guest on before that said he has to get on the stand and explain that he feared for his life. He has to explain the actions he took. Because right now, you have a ton of witnesses saying, look, this is what happened, and these are what happened to me. You have so many people that are injured and so much action that happened after that knife was pulled. So there's going to have to be a lot more on the defense right now in order to, try to secure a win for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a dopey party that it plays out in, cities across this country every weekend in terms of high school kids drinking beer and getting in fights over beer. Until there's a weapon involved, and it just changes it to another level. I think the jury needs to know, why did you go back? Why did you even drive back with your buddy? Why did you have a knife and go get it in the first place? What story could he tell that might produce some empathy from a juror or two?
That's going to be the tough thing. It should have been, look, defuse the situation, leave, don't come back, and none of this would have happened. There has to be some sort of defense into this. There has to be a reason why he did what he did, or was he trying to protect someone else? Was he trying to do something else other than coming back and getting some sort of altercation that turns deadly? So yes, there has to be something in this. This is a huge lesson learned for all the families out there and all the parents out there to understand that alcohol and partying, there has to be a responsible adult. Somebody has to be responsible for this. Like you said before, this happens every day in every part of the country. So this stuff can happen, and death has occurred because of these actions.
Yeah, and he has to somehow convince this jury that he went back there out of fear and not rage, because it's likely a mixture, and it's going to be a tough road to hoe for him to take the stand. But I agree with you. I think he has to, just because right now it just doesn't look good.